Alright, this is going to be the first video and the first episode of this brand new YouTube series in which I'm going to talk about training programming. So over the next few weeks and probably even the next few months, I'm going to make a lot of videos talking about training programming. But in this video, I want to get across the general idea and pretty much show you how to make a full training program and then talk more about details in the upcoming videos. So today is going to be the general idea, and I'm going to take every aspect of today's video and make individual videos going in depth on each and every one of those aspects. But for now, we're going to talk about general idea of training programming. So without further ado, let's dive into today's video. So the first thing you need when we're talking about training programming is a goal, because every single training program is a way to achieve a certain goal. So if you don't know what the goal is, you cannot make a good training program. Now for me and my channel, I'm talking a lot about weighted calisthenics. So if you're watching this video, your goal is probably going to be to get stronger at the big three exercises: the weighted pull-up, the weighted dip, and the squat. But pretty much the same principles apply if you want to get better at any compound movement, so deadlifts or bench press. You can all improve them following the exact same things that I'm going to talk about in today's video. And the goal that you set yourself at the start of your training program will determine pretty much every single decision that you make further down the line. So get your goal straight before talking about the next thing, which is going to be your exercise selection. Here we're going to make a very clear distinction between primary and secondary exercises. So the primary exercises of your program are going to be the exercises that you're really going to focus on in your training program. These are going to be planned out in detail, and these will be closely tracked as you run your training program. These exercises are always going to be big compound lifts, so squats, deadlifts, weighted pull-ups, and weighted dips. So very big exercise where you use a lot of muscle groups at the same time. And then you have all your secondary exercises, aka exercises that you still do in your program but don't really focus on. This is kind of like the bodybuilding stuff, kind of things that you do to kind of get more volume in and run yourself out, work on weak links and widen your base out, which long term is going to result in a higher ceiling. And the main thing that we're going to talk about in this video are going to be the primary exercises, since you only really program those out to the extent that we're going to talk about in today's video. But once again, I'm going to make a specific video in the future talking about primary and secondary exercises and how to actually run both of them in one training program. So once you know what exercise that you want to program in your training, now we can actually talk about frequency, or pretty much how many times a week you're going to perform any of those exercises. This will depend greatly on your training availability, but also your training level, since novices can get away with not doing them too often, and more advanced lifters will benefit greatly from doing your primary exercises more often. If you do an exercise only once a week, that means that you have the entire week to recover from that single session, which means you can actually do quite a lot of work and quite a lot of volume on one exercise in one single session. So if you're only doing, let's say, your weighted pull-ups once a week, things you can do are things like a pyramid style training. You can do top and back off sets. You can also do straight sets, but you can really get away with doing a lot of volume and working in various rep ranges in that single workout, since once again you have a full week to recover from that single workout. And just to give you guys a quick example of what a period session would look like, let's say that you would do one set on 75, one set on 85, and one set of 90% on weighted pull-ups, and then work back down to 85 and 75 for then 2 more sets. So in total about 5 sets. You've worked in various rep ranges, and especially since you went all the way up towards 90 in that session, it will take you quite a while to recover sufficiently from that one workout. But once again, that is just one way to do things, and I'm going to make much more detailed videos about this in the future. Once you do an exercise twice a week, that is when programming intensity and kind of varying intensities on those 2 training days becomes a lot more important, since you don't have an entire week to recover from each and every single session. So this is where things like having a volume day and a strength day, becomes a thing. This is when you can actually do a heavy day and a light day, or like there's a lot of different things that you can do when you're doing things twice a week. Give you guys a quick example. Let's say you're doing sets of 5 and you're gonna do a heavy and a light day. On your heavy day, you're gonna let's say do a 3x5 on like 40 kilograms. Then on your second day, if you just keep the rep range the same but subtract about 10 kilograms and do another 3x5, that is going to be your light day. So reps are going to be a lot more comfortable on that second day, and that second day will allow you to get more volume in, but will still keep you progressing on your heavy day, since this workout isn't going to be too demanding. You can also do something like a volume day and an intensity day. So let's say on 1 week you can do a 5x5, and then 1 week you're going to work up towards a heavy set of 5. Doesn't have to be a 5 rep max, and probably shouldn't be a 5 rep max, but that way you're doing one day in which you're doing more volume work, and one day in which the weight is going to be heavier, but you're only going to do one set. And if you do an exercise 3 times a week, that is when you have to differentiate a lot more in between sessions. This is when you kind of go onto the path of doing heavy days, light days, and medium days, doing technique days, all that kind of stuff. But that is probably more than the vast majority of you need. Personally, I think the vast majority of you should be fine doing things twice a week or less. So I'm not going to really give you guys any examples about this, but there are a lot of things that you can find online if you are interested. Once you have your exercise and your frequency laid out, this is actually where the real fun starts, because now you can actually choose your own periodization system that you're going to use to actually overload this exercise over a period of time. Now there are absolutely 1,000 ways to do this, but in this video I kind of want to give you guys the 3 main ways to do it, aka linear, wave, and block periodization. The first thing I'm going to talk about is linear periodization, which essentially means that throughout your 9 or 16 week program, the weight never stops increasing, and it increases in a linear way. As the weight increases, you are going to work your way down from high to low rep ranges. So just to give you guys an example, let's say you start off your linear program on a 3x10 on 10 kilograms, and you add 2.5 kilograms every single week. So for week 1, it should be a 3x10 on 10 kilograms that is going to be very, very easy, since you want to give yourself time to work up towards difficult sets. So let's say week 1, 3x10 on 10 kilograms, pretty easy. Week 2 and week 3 are going to be a little bit more difficult, but definitely doable. And then week 4, you're going to hit about 20 kilograms for a 3x10, which is going to be very, very difficult for you. So that is going to be pretty much your highest volume week. Is going to be the week where you kind of fill out how much weight you can do for your 3x10, and then for week 4 you're gonna go for 22.5 kilograms, so the weight still increases, but you're gonna go down to a 3x8. So this 3x8 should be pretty easy, kind of give you some time to recover and to kind of take a bit of a break from really heavy weight, and then from there keep increasing until once again you hit a weight that you can do, that you can pretty much just barely do for your 3x8. Then you essentially do the exact same thing and go down to sets of 5. That's just one way to do it, but as you guys can see throughout your program, the weight never stops increasing, and every single time that you actually hit a very difficult 3x10 or a very difficult set of 10, that is where you actually drop a rep range and just work in different rep range until once again you fill out how much weight you can do for that specific rep range. And then let's talk about your wave periodization. So it is quite similar to your linear periodization. However, the first thing you immediately notice is that at the end of every single mesocycle, when you actually fill out your rep range, that is when you actually decrease the weight once you start working in a new rep range. So let's say you're once again doing 3x10s. You're not gonna go for like 10, 12.5, and 15, but you're gonna go for like 10, 17.5, and then 25. So the jumps are going to be much more aggressive. And let's say that 25 kilograms is essentially the max amount of weight you can do for your 3x10. So after that 3rd week, that is when you're going to drop the weight quite aggressively to actually start off working in your sets of 8. And as a result of that, the weight moves in this wave-like motion throughout your training program, hence why it's called wave periodization. And then let's talk about your step periodization. So what you can see right away is that during your little 3 or 4 week mesocycles, your weight actually does not increase at all, which is the biggest difference between step and linear or wave periodization. And the main thing that you're focusing on in every single mesocycle is that you're really trying to increase the amount of work you can do with that one specific weight. To give you guys an example, let's say on week 1 you start off with like a 3x10 on 10 kilograms. So that 3x10 should move very quickly to kind of leave you guys some room to improve. Week 2 you're gonna do a 4x10. It goes up, but it's pretty, I mean, it's getting a bit harder now. And then on week 3 you're gonna do 5x10 on 10 kilograms, which, I mean, especially the last set at that point should feel a lot more demanding, and you should essentially barely finish off that one set with 10 kilograms. So essentially, throughout those 3 weeks, weight hasn't increased, but you have increased the amount of work you do with that specific weight. And then on week 4, you can increase the weight and once again do a 3x10, 4x10 or 5x10. You can also increase weight and decrease reps. So let's say that you do a 3x8, 4x8, 5x8 on 15 kilograms. You can also add a rep so that essentially you don't increase the weight at all, but you essentially do more reps in every single set. So let's say like a 3x12, 4x12 and 5x12 once again on 10 kilograms. So lots of different ways to actually run a step periodization program, but once again I'm going to make a full video about this in the future. And with that being said, that is pretty much all I want to talk about in today's video, because at this point in time you can literally make your own training program from scratch. Now one more thing I want to say towards the end of this video is that a lot of people get caught up in theory. They literally want to overthink everything about their training program. If that's you, I fully understand where you're coming from, because you're looking for the absolute best way to go about things, resulting in the best training program, resulting in you making the most amount of progress that you could possibly make. Now, I'm here to tell you the best training program for you is the program that you have experience with, because you know how to run it and you also know how you respond to it. And the only way to actually get experience in the first place is to run training programs. By running more than one training program, you actually know the differences in between training programs. You actually know how to actually get results, because you actually have experience with doing different things. I've just given you guys, the basics here. Like, there's so many different ways to actually run training programs, and so if you're overthinking things, just pick a system and run with it and see how it goes. Because that way you actually gain experience, and like once again, that's how you actually get the best training program. It's from doing certain things and learning from your mistakes and kind of seeing and kind of trying different things. And this whole training thing is a lifelong commitment, so you have all the time in the world to run some linear programs, to run some wave programs, to do some step loading, and kind of see what you like most, what you respond best to, and what is getting you the best results. And so I think you need at least a couple of years of experience to kind of answer that question, and for you to now be in my comment section and to be like, what's the best thing for me to do? Like, I don't know anything about you, so it's very difficult for me to actually answer that question. So that is kind of one thing I want to tell you right now towards the end of this video, is that the best thing you can do is pick a system and run with it and kind of see where this goes. And I kind of want to, and that is kind of what I want to end this video on. It's kind of just like, pick a system, run with it. And with that being said, that's kind of all I want to talk about in today's video. So like and subscribe if you guys haven't already, and share the video. Any more video ideas, questions, or advice, leave it down below in the comment section. Once again, I'm going to make full videos on each and every single aspect that I actually discussed in today's videos. If you guys have any more specifics that you want me to cover, leave it down below in the comments. Thank you guys for watching. Follow me on Instagram, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Laters.